Good morning, everyone. I am Christine Wren. I am the Global Liaison with the Austin Board of REALTORS. Before we dive into today's program, let's go over a quick few housekeeping notes. Firstly, our event today is a webinar format, ensuring that we have the best audio and video quality for all our attendees. Secondly, we are recording today's program for future viewing, and you will be able to access it through our global partners. Throughout the event, we encourage you to use the chat box to share your questions, your comments, and greetings from around the globe. We'll do our best to address any questions that do come in before we wrap up today. You've agreed to share your name and your email address with your fellow attendees by joining us today. If you prefer not to be included in our networking list, please email cwren@abor.com with the subject line Ireland opt-out. Lastly, here's a friendly reminder. Please refrain from zooming and driving. Let's prioritize everyone's safety. I ask for your attention. We will start today's program with a reminder for all our agents. The Austin Board of REALTORS and Unlock MLS are committed to compliance with all antitrust and competition laws. ABOR and Unlock MLS meetings, events, and classes are governed by the ABOR and Unlock MLS antitrust policy, which includes the following objectives. ABOR and Unlock MLS activities will increase competition and must not function to reduce competition. ABOR and Unlock ABOR and Unlock MLS are not and will not be a forum to develop collective action plans, suggest agreements, or share information that would reduce competition. And members attending ABOR and Unlock MLS meetings will adhere to the ABOR and Unlock antitrust policies to minimize the risk or even the appearance of anti-competition and competitive conduct. Members must report any suspected violation of this antitrust policy to support@abor.com. Silence is not enough. Now, with further ado, please join me in welcoming Emily Chenevert, the Chief Executive Officer and the Austin Board of REALTORS. Emily will be presenting on behalf of both ABOR and the Ambassador Association through the NAR bilateral agreement with Ireland and the Institute of Professional Auctioneers and Valuers. Please give a warm welcome to Emily Chenevert.
Good morning. Thanks everybody good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are. Thank you guys so much for being here to Choose Your Brew, an Irish-American collaboration and an exciting initiative aimed at fostering the relationship and collaboration between the United States and Ireland in the realm of real estate specifically. We are super excited to host or co-host this program again this year and looking forward to great conversation. Our mission is clear. We want to promote the bilateral cooperation, leveraging the rich heritage and strong ties between the U.S. and Ireland through this NAR bilateral partnership. With over 45 million Americans tracing their ancestry back to Ireland, we have a great opportunity to come together and accomplish remarkable things, and we're so lucky to have partners in doing so. This year, we have partnered with leading real estate associations such as Atlanta Realtors, the Greater Boston Association of REALTORS, Hudson Gateway Association of REALTORS, Mainstreet Organization of REALTORS, the San Francisco Association of REALTORS, and most importantly and not least, our Irish partners over at IPAV, the Institute of Professional Auctioneers and Valuers. We know so many new faces are joining us today, and we're excited to see our returning friends hopping on with us as well. Thank you guys for being a part of this journey. Let's seize the opportunity to hear from one of the leading changemakers in Ireland's real estate profession and someone I'm really thrilled to call a friend. Today, we're honored to introduce a true luminary in the world of auctioneering and real estate, someone whose dedication and expertise has left an indelible mark on the industry. With over 3 decades of experience in the auctioneering field, Pat Davitt's contributions have been nothing short of transformative. In 2013, he led the charge in establishing the Blue Book European Valuation Standards, which filled a critical gap in national valuation standards in Ireland. These standards are now recognized by both the Irish Central Bank and the European Central Bank and hold default status, which is a testament to their integrity and reliability. Under Pat's leadership, professional education and development for industry members and aspiring professionals has flourished, which has paved the way for a new generation of skilled practitioners. Not content with revolutionizing only the Irish real estate landscape, Pat's influence extends beyond national borders. In 2017, he was elected to the board of the European Group of Valuers Associations and the board of CEPI, the European Association for Real Estate Professions, further solidifying his reputation as a respected figure on the international stage. We're delighted that Pat has also joined as a member of the National Board of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors Board of Directors as well, which is a testament to his exceptional leadership and expertise. He is one of only 6 international members and the only staff executive in this prestigious position. Just a few weeks ago, Pat had an especially lovely award. He was honored with the prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award at the Business Post National Property Awards. As one attendee eloquently put it, if business networking was an Olympic sport, Pat would be a consecutive gold medal winner. I've seen that in action, so I can testify to that as well. Pat accepted this award amidst a standing ovation. With that, Pat, we want to congratulate you again on this incredible award. Please help me in extending a warm welcome to Pat, CEO of IPAV. Good morning or good afternoon.
I'll say good morning, Emily, to you in America, and good afternoon to all our friends in Ireland that are on as well. I was looking around about here. Lucky I'm on my own here. I was looking around about to see who else were you talking about, and you were talking about all these lovely things about me. Thanks so much for your great welcome. But it's very difficult to sit and listen to all of that now, being honest about it. But anyway, look at it. It's all good. And thank you very much, Emily. As eloquently put, I couldn't believe it. Thank you very, very much indeed.
Oh, well, much deserved. Why don't we start with an easy one and just revisit that Lifetime Achievement Award one more time? What did it mean to you to receive that award just so recently?
It's funny, I suppose you think about these sort of things, but you're so busy going around about doing different sort of things yourself that you never think anybody is actually watching what you're doing, except the ones that want to knock you down. But you never think the ones that want to actually maybe admire you and different things are watching as well. And it's really fantastic to think that some grouping, like the judges in this particular award, would have recognized me like this. And when they called me about it about 10 days beforehand, I was really very, very chuffed, to say the least, because it's the first award I've ever won like this. So it's for me, it's treasured and fantastic. And my wife was saying that she would have to clean it and everything like that. But I said, no, I'll do that myself because it's the only one I have. It's not a big job. So I actually do it myself. Poor Paul has enough to do without this. But so it's coveted by me, and I'm very, very fond of it indeed. And I'm delighted that the Business Post picked me for it, and indeed their judging panel. I was delighted, and they said some lovely things about me too, and more than you did there. And I was really, really chuffed, now to say the least, honoured and chuffed.
Yeah, well, that's a great point that, it is hard to know who's watching, but we always know when there are people watching who don't love us and don't love the things that we're doing. And it is always lovely to know that there are others observing the work that you're doing as well. So congrats again. Why don't we talk a little bit about the Irish real estate market? What do you feel are the key trends that are shaping your market right now? What's happening with buyers and sellers just generally?
Well, as you know, probably something very similar to the USA, and especially in Austin, properties are very scarce in Ireland. We're not building enough new properties, and it's a big problem. But at the same time, last year we built about 33,000, 34,000 new homes. But when you look at it in the marketplace from where we've come, that's quite a big figure. Even though it's going to be extended now, hopefully this year, maybe to 40, and we probably need 50,000 properties a year now. I know it's completely different than where you are and the size of America and everything, but so that there aren't enough homes being built, I suppose that's the first problem. And the second problem that we have all these carry-ons from or carry-over from COVID with price increases and everything that has happened. So property prices have moved on for new properties considerably. In Ireland, typically, we would have a 10% difference between new properties and second-hand properties. That would be typical over the years. But now with all A-rated properties and everything, there could be as much as maybe 100,000 euros of a difference, which probably could amount to about 30, maybe 35% of a difference between the price of new properties and second-hand properties. But having said that, because properties are so scarce, second-hand properties are moving on considerably well. And we do a property barometer every 6 months in IPAV. And our property price barometer for the end of 2023 was up by 5% or 5.1% in total in the year. If we were listening to and did a 3-month property price barometer for the first 3 months of this year, I'd say our prices could be up 5% for the first 3 months. It's incredible, but that's happening, and property prices are really moving on. Now, inner cities, which like Dublin, Cork, Waterford, Galway, those cities' prices are sort of steadily enough, especially in Dublin. But when you move out of the cities and you move into the countryside and you move into the different counties that are between those cities, prices are really moving on, because some of the prices never actually caught up to where they were in 2006. And many people are still in negative equity. Even after 2006, it's 17, 18 years ago, and there's still a negative equity. So you can see property prices in 2006 fell on average 57%, but some prices fell actually by 70 and 80%. So some of those properties haven't caught up, but now it looks like that trend is going to change, and they are going to catch up to where our city friends are. And it looks like the main sort of property price in the outside of the cities is going to continue on and continue to grow. And obviously, at the same time, we're hoping then to build more new housing. We have a lot of vacant houses in Ireland, and we have all sorts of grants at the moment trying to bring them back into use, because, as you know, in a new house, you probably have 50 to 60, maybe 70 tons of carbon in them. And these houses that are vacant are sitting there, and that tonnage has already been accounted for. So bringing them back into use is a fantastic achievement for to do. So any grants that are paid for them by the government, it's money well invested, I believe. And we've been asking the government for years to do this. And yes, it's happening now. And you can see when you drive around different parts of the country, you can see houses that nobody had lived in for years and years and come back into use. And it's a great feeling when you see them. So overall, I suppose that's a little picture of what's going on. Probably not too different than where you are yourself, Emily.
Yeah, a couple of things resonate with me. One being, certainly in Austin, we talk a lot about rehabbing the existing housing is far more affordable than building new housing. And then you spoke specifically to the environmental impact as well, which is significant. And then it's interesting to hear how great the disparity is in different parts of Ireland with regards to the equity or the value of the property, and how different the experiences in those markets are. When you're talking about not having enough housing, is that driven directly through demand and new growth? Is that just we stopped building and we weren't building fast enough to keep up with the growth that you were experiencing? What's driving that demand most?
Well, I'd say from probably a funny thing happened in Ireland over the past, if you looked at the past 15 years in Ireland, in 2010 and 12, we had 300,000 houses too many that nobody was living in. And actually we had ghost estates, and some of those ghost estates, they were not, believe it or believe it not. And then we move on 5 or 6 or 7 years. We didn't build any housing at all for those number of years. And then we started building again. Then COVID hit and it sort of curtailed the building again. So between one thing and another, there hasn't been a lot of houses built over the past 10 years in Ireland. But now it is building, and we are building again, and there's no doubt about that. But there's two things in relation to population growth in Ireland is actually quite large. We have now over 5 million people, which is the first time in I don't know many years, probably maybe since the famine in Ireland in the 1700s, since we had that many people in Ireland. But it's not just, we have a lot of refugees in Ireland. We have a lot of Ukrainian refugees, and that which we're giving a home to because of their war situation at the moment, which people are very happy about. There's probably 70 or 80,000 of those. But at the same time, a lot of people are coming back to Ireland. People that the diaspora that you were talking about in the beginning of the show, Christine was talking about it. That actually, a lot of them are coming back to Ireland because now we have lots of employment in Ireland, and people are coming back because they want to live there and bring up their children there, and they're coming back with money from different countries like America and Australia and England and many, many more countries like that. And so there's a net inflow of people into Ireland, which again is probably a record for many, many times, because Ireland is only a small island and people want to leave it and go somewhere else, and they'll come back after a certain amount of years. But with those people coming back as well, it means that that housing demand that we were looking at, people, I don't know if they were built, this was built in to the level that it actually is in Ireland, and that seems to be a huge problem. So with population growth, with people coming back into Ireland, and they're not sort of, you know, apart from refugees and everything, but there are people coming back, Irish people coming back after being years away and coming back with children and money and buying houses and everything. So it's all good for the property market, except that we don't have enough properties.
Yeah, well, we feel that here in Austin as well. And, you know, when I hear you talking about some of this back in migration back to Ireland, I hear opportunity for agents to connect with their Irish counterparts to be sure that they're well leveraged in terms of their network here in the States, but also there's a natural fit for the markets that we're partnered with here. So folks, be sure that you're connecting and networking with your IPAV counterparts for sure. As you're looking at accommodating this growth and building out more property, are there any trends in the specific property types that you're seeing that are new or emerging in Ireland?
Well, a typical property, first-time buyer's home in Ireland is a 3-bedroom semi-detached property, maybe in somewhere in the region of 100 square meters, or let's talk about square feet, 1,100, maybe 1,000, 1,100 square feet, something like that, a 2-story property. And when most property reports are done in Ireland as regards value, they're done on these type of properties because they're available everywhere, in every town and every city and everything. They're done on this basis. There are obviously, because of the BER, the building ratings, there are different types of homes being built, but not as much. You see some different types, but not no sort of big trend or anything like that. I would say the general sort of move in Ireland, most new properties that are being built are still of the 2, 3 and 4 bedroom, and apartments as well. Now, apartments have slowed down over the number of years because they've just really have cost too much to build them, with the different requirements and the different laws and different things that's required for them. They've slowed down considerably. But last year, actually 2023, was a good year for apartments, and we're hoping that lots more will be built in this year, 2024. But the end product is the problem. Like, you're looking at probably in the city of Dublin, you're looking at in different areas in it, you could be looking at a 2-bedroom apartment in some areas of the city where they've been built, and which would be a reasonable enough price of 800,000 or 900,000 euros, and it's an awful lot of money. So that those government have given what they call a Croí Cónaithe grant. It's an Irish word for a grant that they've given to people to buy these properties first time out. So first time buyers, they're giving them a grant of maybe up to 150,000 euros to buy these new apartments, because it just basically, with the levels of mortgages that are available, for the incomes that are available to get those mortgages, and our macroprudential rules of the Irish Central Bank, it leaves it impossible for people to be able to borrow enough money to buy those apartments. So the government have to step in if they want this type of building to happen. So I'd say overall, no new types of properties, but certainly for the 3 and 4 bedroom and the 2 and 3 bedroom apartments are really still they're still the winners.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're speaking kind of to the density that's growing in the urban centers, like in Dublin specifically. Are you seeing commercial trends respond to that as well? Like what we think of as mixed use property with businesses below and lots of living above is common to you already, but is there more investment in commercial to accommodate the growth as well?
Not really in new buildings as what you're talking about, and a lot of the city centre properties, or even properties throughout rural towns in Ireland that were typically butcher downstairs, hairdresser downstairs, and living overstairs, pharmacy, etc. A lot of that is actually gone, and a lot of those buildings are vacant upstairs. And again, this is something that we have been talking to the government about, to try and encourage people either to do up these spaces and rent them themselves, because a lot of people like that, it was a grandiose idea many years ago that you would buy a site probably out of town and build a new bungalow or build a new house, a 2-story house, or build something on this and move out of the town centre, which a lot of town centres now are feeling the brunt of that. And it's terrible, you know, when you go through town centres and you see an awful lot of people actually moved out and living outside of the town. So I think there's trying to be a shift back to that again. But in the new commercial buildings that are being built, very little of them would have actually shops downstairs and living overhead, unless it was a thing that it was like, you know, in a big apartment block. Yes, of course you would have that. But other than that, like offices and a lot of commercial buildings like that, they're looking at converting some of them into residential, and different plans are afoot of doing things like that, because offices aren't obviously as plentiful, or they're not in as much use as they would have been prior to COVID. But at the same time, that office demand is gone down, and property prices probably for offices has gone down, the commercial end of things. The one property price that has actually rebounded hugely, what we call in Ireland for the sheds, for the sort of properties that are for storage and all that type of thing. Those buildings have gone up and gone considerably. Those industrial buildings, you know, especially with high fronted and high doors and everything like that, those buildings have gone mad in every town in the country because they're needed for storage and all of this. So those type of things are very, very good, and the farm market is good. But for a lot of the commercial properties, yes, in the retail, yes, would be still holding their values. But other than that, offices, I'd say, prices would be changing considerably.
Yeah, the shed properties, that makes sense here in the States as well. That's a tail on economic growth overall. So as you continue to improve in your industries cross-functionally, and just overall your economy is strong, that's a good indicator of that, the necessity of that storage. So you talked about the kind of 5% increase in property value at the end of year last year, and then a really strong first quarter. What are you projecting through the end of this year in terms of property prices for you guys?
We have predicted 5% for a full year, and you know, obviously 3 months don't make up a year. So
Right.
by the time the next 3 months comes, the market could change completely. Like for 2023, the market changed in September of last year and May. They were different times of the year, but different things happened. Where May, the market sort of looked as if it was going to run down a bit, and then came on along into September, and the market picked up again and made a very strong back end. So like you're looking at the same type of thing here, maybe in 2024, where there will be a run of, like, the markets can only go so far as well. So like you're looking at a run up of property prices at the moment, because a lot of those markets have been left behind, and they probably will run up. But when you then have to balance it against obviously all the markets that haven't been left behind, so you know, that have leveled out, etc., etc. So I'd say, still think that 5% for a full year 2024 would be doing quite well. And again, it's an improvement. Now, it's not like a lot of the prices that we've had years ago, you know, gone up in 10 and 12 and 15% and everything. But at the same time, 5% is a reasonable increase. If you're trying to buy something and chasing the market, 5% is quite a bit, you know, especially if you're caught with mortgage details and you haven't been able to borrow enough money, etc. So 5% is a good increase when you're talking about property price, reasonably anything from 500,000 on. You know, it's a good bit of money to have to get your hands on extra to buy a property. So that looks like 2024 will certainly be a reasonable year. I'd say that the 5% at the end of the year, if we have that, I'd say we'll be quite happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're having the same experience that we're having. The growth that you saw 2 years ago, 3 years ago was not sustainable long term. This is a more regulated or sustainable growth. But to your point too, on top of already expensive property, that can be a hard entry into the market if you're not coming to the table with some equity or some value and cash at the table up front. Let's turn our focus a little bit to the work of IPAV and your work, especially with some of the other partnership organizations that you work with across Europe. How have your relationships with CEPI and I'm going to say Tegova, but it's TEGOVA, helped impact your work at IPAV? What value do you see from those types of relationships organizationally?
I think you got it perfect with Tegova. It's that's what we call them. Now, some people call them
Okay, good.
Tegova, and some people call it Tegova. So in Ireland, we call it Tegova. So you've got it perfectly right. So that, well, with Tegova, obviously, they've brought the valuation standards to Ireland, which are exceptionally important, because if we didn't bring them into Ireland in 2013, after the property crash of 2006 to 2010, most of the banks here, and especially the Irish Central Bank, were talking about valuers as being the problem, that they weren't able to value property and different things like this. You know, there was always a problem from that point of view. So Ireland and IPAV not having any valuation standards, we'd have to be looking at probably the standards of the Red Book or the RIC standards, and we didn't want to do that. We wanted to go outside of Europe, even though at that particular time England, the UK was still a European member, but we thought with all the talk that things might differ and things might change. Now, we never actually thought that they would leave Europe, but anyway, we were taking the best end of it from our point of view and taking in the European standards. And as it turned out, then they did leave Europe, obviously, which meant that if we were using the RIG standards, like they're based in London, it would be a different thing for us, even though like they are prevalent in Ireland at the moment, the Red Book standards. So that from Tagova's point of view, they were delighted obviously to make us members, and we weren't members at that particular stage. So the standards that they've been using are ideal for Ireland. They brought in a recent standard about 4 years ago for residential property, which didn't raise the bar too high, but it still raised it high enough for people to do valuation standards, valuations just for mortgages, for mortgages for private housing. But the commercial one is still like equal to all of Europe and has a recognised European valuation standard. And as you said originally, they have default standard because in the valuations that are done for banks in 2014 and 18, we're waiting on the 2022 one at the moment. The European Central Bank have said that if there's any squabble, as we would say, or that there any argument or difference between the valuation standards, the blue book ones are the ones that are accepted above the red and above the white book standards. So it's very good for Ireland. So that association with Tagova, we now have almost 500 valuers trained up to Tagova levels, and it's great. And Tagova now actually are bringing back in, should I say, agricultural valuation standards in their new blue book of 2025, which again we're delighted with, because obviously there's a lot of land being sold in Ireland and a lot of people are selling in value in land, and it's going to be very good for us that would happen. So Tagova listen to what's going on really. And our other association was CEPI. Yes, we've been a member of CEPI for many, many years. It used to be the old CEI, and then the CEI and CEPI joined up together, and now it's called CEPI. And it's a European body. There's about 24, 25 other associations in it. And I used to be on the board of that, but you have to leave it after a certain amount of time when you're there. So I had to leave it 2 years ago or something like that. Yes, and it's a body that looks after a lot of I suppose, advocacy in Europe, which is important to us. But we have an advocacy company of our own, or a body of our own, which actually looks after all our things in Ireland and is able to do things in Europe as well, because we have a great association with MEPs and that ourselves in Ireland, which is very, very good. So between the two bodies, yes, very good. And also, obviously, NAR as well, our association with NAR, we're the only body to be associated with NAR in Ireland, which is great from our point of view as well. And we have very good relationships with them and with yourselves as well. Indeed, it's very, very good. And it's very, very good from an Irish perspective and from Irish members' point of view, to exactly with the people that you were speaking about, the diaspora, to actually be in contact with them. It's great from their point of view when they come back to Ireland. So yeah, it has helped. We have and you're possibly going to talk about, I don't know if you are or not, our bill at the moment for our sellers legal pack, which again is advocacy in our own government. We've brought this members bill through the Dáil, where at the moment buying property by private treaty, it takes such a long time to convey it. Like by the time you actually put the property on the market, and from the time you put the property on the market to sell it, to get a contract completed, only when the property is sale agreed, it takes on average about 10.5 weeks. Now that's an average, and a further 5.5 weeks to actually get the deed of that property. So it's a long time. So we have a system in Ireland where we do public auctions, but all of the documentation has to be ready for that auction before such time as you stand up to sell it. Like all of the contracts and the plannings and everything, all have to be in order. So we're trying to bring a private members bill through the Dáil at the moment, our House of Parliament, to change the system for private treaty to the same as public auctions, that all of the documentation has to be ready for a property before it goes in the market. It seems to make perfect sense. And then when the property goes in the market, then when you get a buyer for it, which only happens to be 3 or 4 or 5 weeks or something, you can convey that property and close the sale in a further 4 or 5 weeks. And it seems to make great sense. And obviously we're trying to get our government to change that at the moment, and to do that and bring in that bill. It's passed through the second stage in our House of Parliament here, and it's going to committee stage at the moment. So we're moving along with it. And again, you can imagine, I'm sure it's the very same no matter what country you work in. To get a private member's bill to go through any House of Parliament is a huge thing to happen. And we've got 2 stages of this out of the way. When the other stages will happen, who knows, but at least the main thing is we've got a lot of advertising for this and a lot of publicity for it, and there probably will be some change anyway of some description. So we'd hope that the bill will come in, but there certainly will be some change. So with all of the bodies and the help of all the bodies, it's very, very good that you're seen to be doing something, let it be across Europe, Americas, etc., and doing some work there, and it's great to be able to do that.
Yeah, a huge impact of that legislation, especially, for my American friends to think about entering into a contract without a complete understanding of the property, without the documentation that you're used to seeing, and then having to wait sometimes months to get that documentation just to allow the contract to proceed through the rest of its normal transactional process. You can imagine the frustration and the impact of that on the way that the housing market moves. And, one more note for you guys is to remember that MLSs give us standards for value, but where there are not multiple listing services like in countries like Ireland, valuation standards provide standardized context for what a property is actually worth and are critical to ensuring that there's equity and that there's fairness in the marketplace. And IPAV's leadership on that is really, really, really significant in terms of providing structure for the housing market. So well done, Pat. I'm going to wrap us up with one last question. What advice would you give investors or individuals practically who are looking to buy or sell property in Ireland? What should they most be thinking about?
Well, I suppose the first thing they should be thinking about is IPAV and IPAV members. So
That's well done. Well done.
obviously, we have a system of licensing in Ireland, so every estate agent is licensed, and anybody who does anything in an office that deals with property or takes an offer, they're all licensed. So a lot of those are IPAV members, and we're delighted with that. But I suppose for people, advice for people, it's a very difficult time at the moment coming into Ireland, and especially if you left 6, 8 or 10 years ago, and you left a country that the property prices were, we'll say for one of those homes you're talking about, a 3-bedroom semi, they could be somewhere in the region of 150,000 euros, and now all of a sudden they're 350,000 euros. So you look at the huge price increases that there has been in property, and it's very difficult for somebody coming back to Ireland to try and buy a property anywhere. But certainly there's better value out through the countrywide in Ireland if people are sort of coming back to Ireland. But in the cities, property prices have racked up considerably, and any part of the cities, like obviously that's where probably most of the better jobs are, because the average wage out through the country is slightly different, or a good bit different than what it is in our cities. So like any of those good jobs that are there, it's very difficult to get actually a place to buy. Like they go with the price of property as well, or the price of property goes with those jobs as well, and people's affordability to buy those properties. So it is worth looking at different areas throughout the countrywide, because there are properties that are still in negative equity and people are still selling. So I don't know if it's good advice or not good advice, but certainly from being in Ireland, looking at it, it seems to be the best place and the best reasons to be buying property there.
I like it. I'll be on the lookout for my countryside farm shortly.
Okay, sounds good.
I like it. Well, Pat, as always, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, for being willing to be so open about the conditions of your market and open to relationships with all of our American counterparts. We so appreciate you. And I think we have a quick video now with a message from the Irish Foreign Ministry.
I'll sing it one last time for you, then we really have to go. You've been the only thing that's right in all I've done. Light up, as if you have a choice, even if you cannot hear my voice. I'll be right beside you, dear. Louder, louder, and we'll run for our lives. I can hardly speak, I understand how you can't raise your voice to say. To think I might not see those eyes voice makes it so hard not to cry. And as we say our long goodbye, I nearly do. Light up, as if you have a choice, even if you cannot hear my voice. I'll be right beside you, dear. Louder, and we'll run for our lives. I can hardly speak, I understand how you can raise your voice to say.
Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed that message and the interview with Pat and Emily today. Next up, we want to introduce you to some of our local and national members to ask a few questions and get to know them. So please help me welcome the Austin Board of Realtors Global Ambassador to Ireland, Ian Grimes from Texas. And if you can turn your camera on, NAR Global Coordinator to Western Europe, Crystal Silver out of Florida. And we have NAR Global Ambassador to the United Kingdom and Ireland, Frank McManus, also out of Florida. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you all with us today. Within the pillars of NAR's strategic framework lies a commitment to industry outreach with a clear mission to propel the real estate profession forward on a global scale. The 2023 to 2025 NAR strategic plan further solidifies this commitment with a dedicated global outreach of international partners, facilitates collaboration, and disseminates best practices. Through these endeavors, NAR aims to not only elevate standards of the real estate profession worldwide, but also to create inclusive business opportunities for our professionals across the globe. Both Crystal and Frank are newly appointed to the current NAR roles. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Crystal, I'm going to start with you. As the new NAR Global Coordinator to Western Europe, congratulations on your appointment. And could you share a little with us on your how you envision your role in shaping the NAR global goals, particularly in fostering these relationships and collaborations in the Western European region?
Okay, I will do. So first and foremost, I'm not the boss for Frank, and I want to congratulate Frank, and you will find out he is very active and very outgoing, so you should be excited. I'm supporting him. And I'm also a support between NAR Global, between Ireland and the Ambassador Association here in the country. My vision is, besides the support, to engage the relationship, to improve the relationship between Ireland and NAR and the association, but also to activate the Western Europe countries all together. I just got notification that my battery is running low, so I don't know what the problem is. It's on the charger, but just for your information, if I disappear, I disappear. I just changed outlets here.
We'll work with you, Crystal, I promise.
Okay, so we will, I want to do work with SEPI. I was with SEPI when they merged, and the German president was the first president from SEPI, so I know a lot. And I think we can get stronger together because we have all the same problems. We have the blockchain technology, sustainability, the homeowners problems, and the if we all cooperate together, we can make a big difference for all of us. And I would encourage all the European countries to come to our NAR next meeting in Boston, but also to encourage our American realtors to join the meetings in Europe.
Perfect. Thank you. Frank, as the newly appointed NAR Global Ambassador to the United Kingdom and Ireland, we like to say Ireland and United Kingdom on this program, but welcome aboard. How do you foresee your role contributing to NAR's objectives, especially in terms of building the bridges and facilitating exchanges between UK, Ireland, and the US?
Well, thank you, Christine. First, I just want to say how excited I am and thankful to NAR President Kevin Sears and our global staff at NAR for this appointment, which occurred in December for 2024. And of course, Christine, I'd like to thank you for your collaboration and your leadership and for bringing us together. It's through venues like this that we enable networking, teamwork, and building those bridges and those relationships. But going forward, my initial focus will be on building trusting relationships with IPAV's leadership and members, which I believe is the foundation that will make this role successful. I think additionally, I see my role as being a connector, a facilitator, and a communicator. As a connector, my goal will be connecting not only US, UK, and Irish real estate agents, but agents from around the globe need assistance in Ireland and the UK. So I'll be able to do this by engaging each where they are, understanding their needs, and assisting them in building relationships that result in mutual business success. So that's the key for this role from my perspective. You know, as a facilitator, you know, one of the things that just recently occurred, I was contacted by Florida Realtors Vice President Maria Grulich. She was looking to set up a trade mission in Ireland. Immediately, I got super excited about that opportunity and reached out to Pat, and we brokered a call and several correspondence between Pat and Maria, and that has just resulted recently in the approval of the board at IPAV to hold and support a trade mission in late July this year. So stay tuned for the more details on that. We're very excited about that. And then finally, you know, as a communicator, sharing updates from NAR's perspective, which include updates on educational programs and offerings, networking opportunities like this that are coming up, and also upcoming NAR conventions and meetings, as Crystal had mentioned. We're super excited about this year. Kevin Sears, as our president, his home base is in Boston. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to all come together in Boston this year for the annual NAR and NXT meeting conference. So, and that'll be in November. So there are just a few things.
Perfect. That it's like sounds like exciting things on the forefront. We do always encourage our members, and I would encourage all our U.S. members especially to attend both the legislative meetings in Washington, D.C., as both of them have mentioned, as well as the rotating next conferences. It's a great opportunity to meet a lot of global people while you're domestic. It's a quick domestic flight for a lot of people. So great tips there. Transitioning from a committee structure to Global's advisory and Global Ambassador Group in 2019 marked a pivotal moment in our journey, further engaging our global impact here in Austin. We are entering into our 10th year with a growing global program that now includes over 650 local agents, so we're still baby global, as part of the Global Business Alliance. Ian Grimes is part of that growing commitment and interest in learning and representing ABOR beyond our borders. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. I know you bring a long-standing involvement with the Young Professional Network, YPN, as we like to call it. What interested you in being part of the local global program and bringing that knowledge to the global group?
Yeah, great question. I have to say that I have played the bagpipes for a long time.
You're in the
And
club.
about fifth grade. And so naturally I felt called to serve this role. Um, I, I'm looking forward to serving this year, really just to connect with the young professionals overseas. It sounds like Ireland, it sounds like Ireland and Austin are experiencing somewhat of the same challenges. Like Crystal said, I'm sorry, what was it? Christine?
Crystal.
Crystal, yeah. Um, so I'm going to be over there in June for the conference. Looking forward to meeting everybody and connecting with everybody, brainstorming, talking about their business, talking about what works, talking about what doesn't work. And so that's why I felt called to serve. It's just a call to my heritage, I guess you could say.
Yeah. As a new ABOR Global Ambassador to Ireland, and still learning about the programs both locally and at NAR, do you have any early aha moments you can share?
You know, um, I think that there is an incredible opportunity right now with the young professionals. I believe there is a need for the establishment of relationships moving forward, and so I'm happy to be a part of that and happy to spearhead that.
Perfect. Perfect. Frank, I'm going to come back to you. What specific initiatives or projects? I know you've mentioned collaborations with Florida and IPAV that you've been able to help broker. What other projects or initiatives, maybe outside of travel, are you mindfully engaging or encouraging participation in with IPAV and the different initiatives?
Sure, good, great question. And it's, I apologize, I have a little cough this week. Actually, Pat and I have been discussing a few things. And as I mentioned previously, during the upcoming conference, which is scheduled for this June, I'll be sharing some updates from NAR programs. Pat has graciously given me an opportunity to speak at their conference, as well as have a table to share information, to meet with the members, and to answer any questions they may have as it relates to that. And specifically, I'll be updating on educational programs, international realtor membership, as well as YPN, which is our Young Professionals Network, which Ian touched on. We also have been talking about an interesting concept, and one that NAR YPN is very interested in, and one that had started over the last year or so with Mainstreet, our partners at Mainstreet, where they partnered with IPAV and IPAV's YPN and Mainstreet's YPN to create what I refer to as an exchange program. So if you think about when you're in college and you do a semester abroad or an exchange program, it's sort of like that. Of course, it wouldn't be that long, but it gives the opportunity for our Irish agents to come to the United States, to be hosted by an agent here in their home, hopefully, and get to experience the day-to-day operations from a real estate perspective, and also experience some fun and cultural activities. And the goal, of course, is to build that business acumen. Also, create an understanding of the culture and establish long-term business relationships and friendships. And that's what it's all about. So it would be a reciprocal program. So the Irish agents would come to the US, and the US agents would have the opportunity to go to Ireland. And then finally, we've also been discussing establishing a global business committee within IPAV. And this would bring like-minded agents that do business with buyers and sellers, both inside and outside of Ireland. And this is expected to incorporate education as a key component, That could include a CIPS institute that leads to designations. It'll also include networking events like this one and others, where we would enable the opportunity for agents from Ireland and other countries to come together and build those relationships and build those bridges. So that they're just a few things
Great.
that we're also working on.
That's helpful. Yes. We will definitely be getting more that kind of information out to this group. We do have all the networking information for you, so we will be sharing those things as more details become available for everyone. Crystal, how should a member get more involved?
Yes, thank you. I was able to get back with a different outlet. It's really funny, but you know, that's hotel living, right? I think we have the possibility for the colleagues in Ireland to join the International Realtor membership. And I think if we can explain the benefits of it, that would be my goal to help. I think Frank and I, we are both CIPS instructors, so hopefully we can bring this to Ireland also. But, you know, if you're a member, international member in Ireland, you have the advantage that your information is on the NAR website, and you can collaborate, you can find the counterparts in America, and they are more than just having your information on the website. You have access to all the tools like RPR. So if you are in RPR, for those who don't know what it is, it's a wonderful website to not only to get property value, but to get information about neighborhoods, about cultures, about statistics. So that's all accessible for the members. And I think if we can collaborate about it and explain what the benefits are, especially if we are in Ireland and or having a webinar, that will definitely help our relationship.
Perfect. I want to thank you both. The great questions here. I know we have more questions that have come in the chat box. We'll try and get to a few of them here in a minute, but I do want to, and I know I've had a couple people that needed to drop off, some of our counterparts, staff side counterparts, but I'd ask Ramona to come on, and Pat, if you'd like to come back on. You know, this was a group effort with Atlanta Realtors, Greater Boston. We had a person joining us earlier that they've had to drop off now. Hudson Gateway, Mainstreet, as we mentioned earlier, San Francisco Association. This takes a village, and this is a great group. I think you saw that the diaspora was around the world. I want to turn this over to Ramona from Mainstreet Association of Realtors outside of Chicagoland, because we want to do a little fun stuff and see how much you know before we say good day or have a good day. So Ramona, why don't you take it away?
All right, sounds great. I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully everybody can see the screen. We're going to do a little quiz time.
Play from the beginning. There you go.
There we go. It's time for the quiz round here. Let's see how much you all know about Irish and the Americans and how we've collaborated together in different ways. Some fun facts. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. So we're going to start. Here we go. First question. You'll see it on your screen. If you want to take a few seconds to answer, which 5 states account for the majority of all international real estate transactions in the United States? So this is a little bit more of a global question in general, but I'm going to give you a few more seconds to
Pat,
kind of
what are you thinking? Pat, what are you thinking?
Well, there's a lot of I think California, Texas, New York, I would say, but I obviously I'm not sure.
We can't vote.
I'm going to say 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
can't
the
vote, you're not-
panelists can't vote. Sorry.
I know, I wanted
They can
to.
talk, but they can't actually vote.
Right,
So this is all the
right.
attendees. Yep.
All right, 2 more seconds. We're gonna end it. Get those questions or answers in. Let's see how you did. Ending polls, sharing the results here. So for those of you who selected Florida, California, Texas, Arizona, and North Carolina, you would be correct. So this is taken from the 2023 International Survey from NAR. And Florida has 23%, California 12%, Texas 12%, North Carolina 4%, and Arizona 4%. So there you go. You learned something today. All right, let's go on to number 2. I'm gonna launch this. Okay, folks. How much of the Irish, of the American population say their primary ancestry is Irish? What are we thinking, folks? I see some of you changing your answers. Didn't we learn something in school? Like you're supposed to go with your first pick, right? Good thing this isn't the SATs.
Of course we can't. Of course we can't vote, but I'd say it's number 31 million.
All right. Well, 2 more seconds. 1, 2. Pat. Oh, you knew it. You knew it. 31 million, folks. 31 million. Great job. Great job. We were a little bit between the 31 and the 22, but good job, folks. Good job. Okay. Next question. Which is not in the top 10 most Irish cities in the U.S.? Not. Which is not.
Today's program description should have given it away, maybe.
Right? Well, I can tell you people are pretty dead set that Boston is not the answer.
It possibly
Right?
then the answer.
Oh my goodness. All right, giving you a couple more seconds. You need to change your answers. And folks, please don't be using Google. Let's do the honor system here. This is not phoning a friend or anything. If you guys are switching this many answers. All right, 1, 2, and the poll, share the results. Those of you who said Washington, D.C., you got it right. Great job. All right. Next question. So which U.S. city has the most Irish restaurants and pubs? I feel like I got to do a dance with this music playing. Right?
Pat will owe us a song before we end.
Here we go.
So, we'll get a ditty ready.
I forgot to put on my hat too. It's my quiz hat.
Yeah, it looks that looks
That's
really
better, right?
Yeah, I hope Fergal is looking in now that he sees you like this.
Oh, right.
You give him a wave there and make sure that he's there. I'd say he is.
Yes. All right. So which U.S. city has the most Irish restaurants and pubs? Those of you who said New York got that one right. Great job. All right. Now, where is the world's shortest St. Patrick's Day parade? The shortest. I can tell you a little bit about it. It's always held on March 17th at a historic Bridge Street, which is famous in the 1940s when Ripley's Believe It or Not designated it the shortest street in the world. All right, we're gonna end it. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3. Those of you who said Hot Springs, Arkansas, got that one right. Great job. Where is the world's largest shamrock? Oh, I gotta add that to my outfit too. Now I'm super, super crazy looking, right? Here we go. And the world's largest shamrock is painted on the road in this town, which is an Irish capital. Every year they install a huge Blarney stone at the corner of the shamrock and have many festivals, including a public reading of the book Green Eggs and Ham. All right, we're gonna see where everybody's at on this one. 1, 2, 3. And those of you who said O'Neill, Nebraska got that one correct. Great job. I want to know, like, who are the people that know all of these? Is John Letourneau, is he getting all these right? Frank McManus, are you getting all of them right? All right, which U.S. city has the most St. Patrick's Day events? Let's see. Do we know this? Oh, there's a fight going on between 3 of them, I can tell you. There's a bit of a fight going on. All right, give you 2 more seconds here to answer. 1, 2. Those of you who said Chicago, almost 100 events, including the dyeing of our river green. Great job, folks. All right, just a couple more questions left here. Which U.S. state is the most Irish state, where 1 in 5 residents say they are of Irish descent? All right, getting close here. Gonna give you about 5 more seconds to weigh in. Yep, there's a fight between 2 here too. All right. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. New Hampshire. So good job, 23% of you. Awesome. Okay.
So hopefully you've had a little fun learning a little bit about Ireland and the Irish culture and what's going on in the U.S. with the diaspora. There's a rumor, Pat, that you know an auction song. Would you like to leave us with your auction song?
I don't think I would be able to do that today, now, Christine. If I had your guitar, I might be able to leave you with it all right. But I'm not
fair.
I'm not sure that I'd be able to do it without some music.
That's fair.
We stumped y'all on this one. Cats.
Yeah.
Y'all thought dogs, cats. All right, last
We
one.
get rid of this the snakes, you know, Romana. That's what
All right, let's see. This really surprised me, this one. When I found this fact out, I'm like, really? That many people, what percentage of Americans are unable to locate Ireland on a map? Okay, 5 more seconds. 5, 4.
That's higher than lower, I'd say.
Not
Yeah.
a proud moment.
Not a proud moment, no.
Not a proud moment.
All
I go
right,
for
here
it,
we
he is.
go.
Thank you,
it's
Ramona.
73%. If you didn't know, check the map that's on the screen. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this quiz today.
Yes, this is so fun. Thank you. And this is what teamwork and partnership from around the country can look like, and with our counterparts in Ireland. In closing, we sincerely thank all our global members and our volunteers for the unwavering support, your dedication, which really has fueled our collaborative efforts worldwide. A huge thank you goes out to the dedicated staff members behind the scenes, some of which had to drop off. I'm sorry. And last, we want to really thank Pat for joining us with Emily and Frank and Crystal. And I hope you all have an opportunity to meet these fantastic international and national volunteers. Feel free to share any information in the chat box. I know we didn't get to a couple of the questions that have come in, but we will be working on answering those and getting that out into email form for everyone. But thank you kindly for joining us today on this program, and hopefully you learned a little something along the way.